Hello and welcome to Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into this week's episode, be sure to check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/drive-in double feature podcast at gmail.com. For only $5 a month, you help support us and you get fun bonus content over there. You probably already know about it. Ryan talks about it all the time, about these weird marketing schemes and how we're everywhere across the United States. But, just for the few that might not have heard, you're living under a rock, don't know about the Patreon, be sure to check that out. But no main show content is locked behind the Patreon. But moving into this Tuesday's episode, we are talking about Carnival of Blood from 1970, directed by Leonard Kirtman, starring Earl Edgerton. I'm naming people that you guys should know. Judith Resnick and Burt Young in his film debut. And he's not even
Uh,
credited as Burt Young.
I was about to say, who? I only know the great John Harris.
Yeah, what was that? What
Uh, I even like Googled that. I'm like, why is his name not the same?
Yeah, well, and what's weird, so Burt Young is a stage name, right? But like his real name isn't even John Harris, right? It's Gerald Tommaso de Luis. That's his name. So I don't understand he was going through stage names, but that one's really boring.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the time he should have been called Burt Young because that's when he was his youngest.
hmm They definitely didn't make him up to be the youngest. But we'll get
No,
in we'll get into his character in a little bit. So Ryan, do you think just asking you, do you think I vetted this movie, that I did my research,
no.
my due diligence? Yeah. I'm sure you were watching
I,
it and like Nathan didn't know what the hell he picked.
that's 100% what I thought while watching it. I was like, oh, it's another Nathan pick.
Yeah, no, I knew that when I was watching it, like very soon into it, I was like, oh, okay. I think these are fun because I don't know, they're just like I like picking a movie because I see a poster, I like the name. It's like, all right, let's do it. Who knows if it'll be good to talk about on the podcast? This movie does have some interesting things going on about it. It's directed by Leonard Kirtman, who, sorry, I should say he only directed this feature length movie. This is his only drama feature length. Well, I guess not drama, genre feature length movie. Everything else he made, porn. He made tons and tons of porno movies. That's his claim to fame. I don't, this is kind of where he started. Super, super low budget movie. Like, this is like, it's been a while
You
since
don't
we
say.
well, it's been a while since we've watched a movie like this, right? Like when I started this up, it's so grainy. The sound quality is really bad. It was like, oh wow, we haven't watched something this trashy in a while.
Well, this was just like what was the other one? Theater of Blood or whatever.
Yes, yeah, the Herschel
It,
Gordon Lewis movie.
well, which he had the opposite route where he directed porno and then made horror movies.
Yeah, but the other way around.
But yeah, I could tell right away because one thing too, they don't use like have traditional lighting. It's just like they just point flashlights at them and they're just
Yes.
like, okay, now we could shoot in the dark.
Yeah, and you can tell that like they're filming in like their apartment, right? Like it looks like a lived-in apartment that they're filming in, not like a film set, just kind of awkward. Um and it's filmed at Coney Island, and you can tell all the extras are like real people they got off the street. I would never be interested in watching this guy's pornos. And I say this because it's very obvious that he has a dislike for women in this movie. Every woman in this movie, and I think that's kind of the point, but every woman except for one of them is just, well, I guess no, kind of all of them have just really annoying characteristics. Every woman in this movie is played to be just like awful and like you're supposed to hate them the whole time. Because that's like the first thing in this movie is it's a couple fighting, and the wife is just a nagger. She's like over here, and he's like, "Oh, come on, honey, we gotta leave." She's like, "No, I want to stay here. I want to stay at the carnival." It's like 15-20 minutes of this too.
Yeah. It's so long and
Mhm.
uh very much like I didn't know where it was going at first because they spend a quite a while with this first couple, and they even have like a flashback like showing how much they were in love with each other, and now like how they were not in love with each other anymore.
Yeah, yeah, and it's weird. You
And
get
I'm like,
such a
why?
backstory for them because they don't really need a backstory. You realize when you get later in the movie, I won't. They just die. They get killed, and then like
They're the
they never come back up.
they're the first victims in the movie.
Yeah. Also, another really odd choice is this fight is part of the opening credits. Like the opening credits play, and it has her floating head just like yelling in the corner. What was that? That's such an
I don't,
odd choice.
but it is like her face yelling, or I think it was talking or something, but
Yeah,
it was like it, but it was like to the heartbeats
that's right. Yeah, it's
or heartbeeps.
yeah, heart beeps, which yeah, heart beeps comes up quite a bit on this show. You know that? But yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, and this is where the beats of the movie are set up because this movie is a repetitive movie, just does the same thing over and over and over again. So it's this couple fighting, they go to a fortune teller, and like the fortune teller is so silly. Because on the front it says a quarter. It costs a quarter for a palm reading. She never charges a quarter in the movie, like ever. It's always like a dollar, $5.
Yeah,
Um,
it's always the same bit where she goes in and she's like starts reading their fortune and she's like, "Uh-huh, yeah." And then she's like, "No, it's too terrible. I can't tell you. Fortune's over."
it always
And
happens. It keeps happening where she's just like, I can't finish your fortune. Something terrible is gonna happen to you.
but the thing was too is like before that she's like, "If you want me to keep reading your fortune, give me $5." And they're like, "Uh, okay." Like the husband's like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And like the wife, the one who wanted to go there, is like,
Hmm.
"Don't give her $5. I want to leave." And it's like he's like, "You wanted to come here." She's like, "Yeah, but that $5 could have gotten us a movie ticket."
Which is so weird because this is where she's wanted to be this whole time. She's just written to be like terrible. Also, did you notice that the fortune teller just has a big picture of Jesus on the wall?
Yeah.
What kind of fortune teller is this?
I mean, fortune tellers can believe in Jesus.
I guess it's just weird to have your fortune teller just a nice big Jesus watching over you. Um,
I mean, who do you think's telling her these fortunes?
oh, it's a Christian fortune teller. I guess I never thought of it like that. um but so these fighting scenes with this couple, it's intercut with kind of our main characters of the movie. It's a brand new DA who is with his fiance or future fiance. I forget, it's kind of left my head. He proposes to her at the beginning of the movie, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a
Uh,
really long sex scene after.
yeah, Dan and Laura.
Dan and Laura, thank you. Dan is kind of a boring character, but anyway, we go back to the couple fighting. Another part of the repetitive process is they go to this dart game at the carnival, and there's just what seems like a normal guy running it, and then Burt Young playing Gimpy, and that is the character's name. Everyone refers to him as Gimpy. I think even Laura, who is kind of nice to the carnies, calls him Gimpy, which is really silly.
Well, I mean, they have the scene later in the movie where the guy that works the balloon darts is like,
Mhm.
"So Gimpy, what's your name?" He's like, "I'm Gimpy." And then he's like, "Well, nobody's born Gimpy. Like, what's your actual name?" It's like, "It's Gimpy. It's just." just gimpy. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
which is really funny. And Burt Young is just he's got a hunchback and he's got like warts all over his face. And he the whole time he talks about how much he hates these women. He's like, no, boss, she's bad. She's a bad girl. We need to
she's a
we hate her.
troublemaker.
She's a troublemaker. And God, the guy who runs the carnival stand is like the worst carny ever because anytime a woman is complaining there, he just gives them a prize to like make them be quiet.
Well, yeah, like some of these where he just like gives out the prizes. Like I've never the times I've been to a fair, like I've never seen a carnival like a carny act like that nice to somebody. It's
Hell no. Well,
like where it's like to win some of those big prizes, he's like, okay, you just got to get three darts, you got into a balloon. And
mhm.
usually it's like on those games, it's like you have to win like three in a row or something. It's like
Yeah,
there
in
is
order
no
to win
missing.
like the big teddy bear or whatever.
Right. But it's like this one, it's like, oh no, you can just like keep buying darts until you get three. And it's like, I don't think that's how that works.
No,
Like,
which is
and
well, it's really funny. I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast, but my father was a carny and he ran games for a while. And
wow.
I used to go with him on like trips anytime the carnival was in town and I would go. And I remember it
So you were
being a
gimpy?
tough process. Yeah, I was a little gimpy running around. No, I was not. I didn't really help with the games, like I got to like run around and ride the rides. It was actually it was a lot of fun. But yeah, my dad always he would build like I remember he built like one of the duck catching ones. You've seen those at the carnival. He like built one of those from scratch and had it at the carnival, which was crazy. So
Do they still
watching
use it to this day?
I don't know where that thing is at. But it did bring back memories of this, but I was thinking like, yeah, my father would have never would have never been this nice. I mean, you've been to like theme parks where kids are crying because they haven't won the prize. They aren't giving it to the crying kids.
And yeah, even like the adults that are complaining about it, because this is jumping a little ahead, but there's like
Hmm.
an annoying older lady that just shows up and it's just like, I I want to win the giant bear. Like
Hmm.
it's like and he's just like, all right, just take the bear and leave. Just because she's
Yeah.
like complaining so much and being so annoying. And he's like, boss, that bear cost $3. It's like, it's fine. It's like, it's
Yeah.
totally worth it just to get rid of her.
And they are the ugliest bears imaginable. They have like fake eyes on them and like real teeth.
Made,
Well,
yeah. And they're made of like quilts and things like that.
yeah, like I don't know why all these people are like clamoring for it. Um, but yeah, they
Well, that
fight.
was like that was a common theme this week, like ugly bears.
I guess you're right. Yeah, ugly bears. Yeah, it's horror bear week here. Um, God, and like I said with the low budget, I wrote this down a couple of times. There's just some really bad camera angles in this movie. Like stuff is out of focus, the camera's to the side. You can tell that like this movie was like they probably just shot as quickly as possible.
Even like some like the gory moments, it's really stupid.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
there's a scene where the killer plucks somebody's eyes out, and it's just like basically you just see like fingers like touching somebody's eyes, and then like the next frame he's just like holding like two perfect like plastic eyes, and it's just like, see, like it's
It's so
scary.
gross. Yeah, it definitely reminded me a lot of like Wizard of Gore. But Wizard of Gore, like if you were a gore head for a movie, I think that would be the better choice because like a lot of the gore here isn't great. Like the couple, they end up riding a ride and their heads get completely sliced off in like the dark ride. What a weird scene too, because they come out of the exit and their heads roll off and the whole crowd's watching, but they're like laughing too. They're like laughing the whole
Yeah.
time. Their reactions don't match what's going on at all.
you'd think like they'd shut this fair down, like after all these murders happen.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. Two people die on a dark ride, whatever. That happens at a carnival every week. But then they keep it every other day. There seems to be a murder going on. It would be investigated. But what's so funny is that the DA, he keeps inviting his fiance out. It's like, can we go to the carnival? I need to catch this killer. Like that's what he needs to do.
Well, that was like the whole like they were fighting at the beginning of the movie because she's like, I don't want to go out and like find a murderer. And he's just like, come on, like I want you to come with me. Like
Hmm.
it's
Yeah,
like very weird.
please. Almost like he wants to use her as a bait. Because I think it
Yeah.
doesn't he say like, isn't there a point where they're like, I need you to stay at home because the person that was murdered reminds me a lot of you, and then that gets thrown away.
Yeah, that part didn't make any sense at all because I was just like, in all these like cop movies or whatever, it's always like, okay, like I'm gonna go out, like I'll see you like in a couple hours or something like that, and like
Hmm.
always leaves like the wife behind. But like, can you imagine like in some of these cop movies, like, come on, come with me to the murder scene. I want you to see if we can find the killer together. It could be a
Yeah,
fun
like it's
couples
Scooby Doo.
activity.
Yeah, that's so weird. But yeah, they end up going to carnival together, which I guess she has ties to. Laura is friends with the guy who runs the dart stand, and Gimpy's there, and they think they're really nice. Like Gimpy's like, "Oh, she's nice, boss." And this movie really, really leans into you thinking Gimpy is the killer. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like set up like, oh, Gimpy's weird. There's a scene where he talks about killing his dog, and you're supposed to be like, yep, Gimpy is out here killing these guys because he hates women.
And there's another one too where like the killer uh ends up stealing like the bear from
Hmm.
like the people that are murdered.
Hmm.
And you see Gimpy with the bear, and it's like, Gimpy, where'd you get that bear? He's like, I found it. Like, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And and they're so you really want you to think Gimpy's the killer. It's just like, see, like look how obvious it is. Gimpy's the killer.
Well, and that's the thing. I thought it was obvious. I was like, okay, yeah, Gimpy's the killer. Like, it's not really like a slasher mystery, but it is, which the main guy ends up being the killer, which we find out because there's one girl that shows up who's just complaining the whole time, and he gets really upset about it, and it's like, oh, what's going on here? Or no, it's Laura. Laura's the one because Laura breaks up with the DA because uh just because of the whole carnival thing, right? She gets pissed about the keep on having to go to mystery runs at the carnival. Um
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
yeah, and then the because like that, like you said, like they were friends at the beginning of the movie, like her and Tom, the balloon guy,
Tom, yes.
ever like discussing. It's like, I think you should go reconcile with him. And then at the end of the movie, like Tom has like a mental breakdown and you realize, oh, Tom's the killer. Oh no.
Yeah. Um
Eh,
and this is after, like, I mean, we skipped over the character, so I want to bring it up. That God, that one, the older lady was so annoying. It was so hard to follow her for this movie because all she did was complain. And like, I mean, that's the
yeah,
point, but she's like at the fortune teller just complaining the whole time, and then she gets the dart scene is so long where she's throwing
it's
darts
very
and just
long.
constantly like, huh? You're the troublemaker, you gimpy, you freak. Just keeps making fun of him the whole time, and it
Yeah.
it padded.
And they're like, yeah, even like Tom's like, you shouldn't say those things. And she just
Mhm.
like keeps saying it. And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, like, well, give me 50 cents. I'll give you six more darts. And she's like, all right, fine. You see it right here. I only need to get one, right? And then like throws it and like hits like the boards like, no, no, that one fell. I want a do-over on that one. Like, or like you saw it, the dart hit the side of the balloon. Like that counts.
Yeah. And it's like that for so long. But yeah, whenever we find out that Tom is the killer, we get such a long flashback sequence because,
So long.
which it's of course, oh, Tom has mommy issues. He hates her mom, and it's kind of, or he hates his mom. And it's really funny because at first, it makes it seem like his mom isn't bad. It's almost like really petty because it's like, Tom, you need to put away the toys and go to sleep. You need to go to bed now, Tom. And like that's what messed him up. Was that his mom sent him to bed without
Yeah.
his toy? And I was like, really?
Yeah, and he had a teddy bear, and I guess his mom wouldn't let him have his teddy bear. And his
Yeah.
dad was like, "Come on, it's no big deal. Just let him have the
Uh-huh.
bear."
Yeah. And then I guess he sees them have sex. And it doesn't show any of this. It's Tom walking around in a red room, and it's kind of like it's supposed to be like, oh, he's having flashbacks the whole time. Um, One of the funniest lines is when the mom is like, "Oh, you need to go to bed now, otherwise I'll hit you." With no anger, very
Yeah.
monotone, just like, "Otherwise I'll hit you, honey." It's super silly. But he gets Laura on a Ferris wheel and he's gonna kill her on there. And it's like a big reveal, like a teddy bear opens up and blood and guts are falling out of the teddy bear because I guess he hides bodies and the teddy bears or whatever. It's a reveal, all right.
Yeah,
I
it's something.
yeah. This movie went further than I thought it would. I thought it would be as simple as Gimpy was the killer. We'd see some kills, and that's how the movie would wrap up. Maybe him getting caught. But no, instead they went for like the psycho twist, where it's like, oh no, there's even more here.
So many layers.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
But
that's what I was saying.
eh,
So
oh,
many
you forgot
layers
about
of. Oh, what I forget.
go no no,
I'm
you
not
go ahead. What were you
finishing.
gonna
I
say?
can't finish that thought. It's too adult.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Um, but you forgot about the other couple in this one, the drunken sailor and the
Oh, that's
prostitute.
right. Yes. The sailor who keeps saying, "I have a wife, okay? I have got a wife at home." The whole
Yeah,
time.
because he's trying to like romance Laura at
Mhm.
first, and he he keeps wondering I wonder if I can get with her, and like he like wins like the bear at the
Mhm.
dart game, and he gives her the bear, but he doesn't end up getting with Laura, so he just finds like a prostitute and like takes her to the fortune teller, and he's just like slurring his words like, oh, just
You can't even understand him at some
yeah,
points.
it's bad.
Uh-huh. And like the fortune teller's like, "Oh, you've been with many women," and he's like, no, I haven't. Stop. As he has a prostitute sitting right next to him, and the prostitute's just taking it all, just sitting there. But as usual, that one ends the same way, where it's like, oh, I can't continue this fortune telling. Also, I think it's funny that nobody else gets refunds on their fortune telling except for Laura and her man. They end up just with a refund because I guess they're nicer than the other people.
Well, they're gonna die, so why would they need a refund?
You're right. Yeah, that's weak. Yeah, she knew that they would die. How does
I
the
mean, if
sailor die again? Like under the docks, right?
well, I don't think the sailor. Do we even see the sailor die? Like, I
No,
think the
that's
sailor
right.
kind of
It's just the prostitute.
like he kind of like stumbles away, and then
Mhm.
like the prostitute's like, "Sailor, where are you, sailor?" And then all of a sudden you just see like her like I don't even think like the knife like gets plunged into her. It's almost like she like walks into the knife.
Yeah, kind of.
But and the same deal with the older lady when she gets killed with the brick,
Mhm.
like because like it's almost like they didn't know what to do, so they're like, okay, like we're gonna swing this brick in front of the camera, but don't swing too hard. So it's always just like just like these really like
Yeah,
slow
it's so
waves
fake.
of the brick, like who would hit somebody with a brick like that?
Yeah, just so slow, and she's just taking it. God, her death is like the worst one because she gets like she's just got like stuff in her mouth. It just looks really bad. Um, but no,
Yeah.
that's Carnival of Blood. It was something. I mean, like, wasn't very good. It was a little too repetitive. It was too focused on doing the same thing over and over again. I don't know why it did that.
Yeah, I really wasn't that big of a fan of that one.
Yeah.
it's I was thinking the whole time, like,
Mhm.
I wonder how the Carnival of Blood is compared to this.
Maybe we'll have to do that another time because I bet you it's better. I should have been like, oh, let's do that one instead because there is another Carnival of Blood. I think it's an Italian movie. Arrow released it. I think there's a lot going for that one to be a little bit cooler. But I wanted to stick to my guns and cover this one that I knew absolutely nothing about. And look at
So
us
if you're
now.
sticking to your guns, so if you're sticking to your guns, that means it's a recommend for you, right?
No, God, no. Yeah, I didn't say I was gonna recommend this movie. No, I don't. I don't recommend this movie. I don't think there's enough going on that's interesting.
It,
It's kind of funny. Burt Young playing Gimpy is kind of silly, but it's such a chore to get through.
yeah, I'm not a fan of this one. It was pretty boring, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, there's just some silly moments in there that's, make it a little amusing,
Mm-hmm.
but not enough to hold my attention. I was just the whole time I'm just like, oh, can we just move on to the next scene, please?
Yeah, you must have been miserable during that dark scene with the old lady
It went on for a really long time, but that one was kind of like funny just because she was like at least
doing
eh,
something.
yeah, she was at least sort of amusing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for today. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Um well, Nathan, on Thursday we are going to be talking about the much revered sequel to Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. We're going to be talking about the sequel Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2,
Woo!
which is streaming on Peacock right now.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to watch that one, of course. And if you want to email us, you can email us at driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. You can also head on over to X and X at us at the idea of pod. But until next time.
Until next time.